18 years ago, I picked up Super Mario Galaxy day one at Best Buy, and I still have that little silver coin they handed out as a pre-order bonus. A small, round reminder of a moment when Nintendo was once again changing the way we thought about 3D platforming. And then, 3 years later, I did the same thing with Super Mario Galaxy 2. I brought it home, turned off the lights, and fired up my Wii, not realizing I was about to play two of the highest rated video games in the entire history of gaming. Now, here we are in 2025, Super Mario Galaxy 1+2 HD has finally arrived on Switch and Switch 2, bringing these two cosmic masterpieces into the modern era. And yes, there's been plenty of debates about the $70 price tag, but today I'm not here to rehash the controversy. I'm here to tell you why this collection, this piece of Nintendo history, is absolutely worth it. The Galaxy games are pure imagination. From the very first time you step onto a tiny, spinning planet, gravity bending every which way, you realize Nintendo wasn't just building levels here, they were bending reality. Every galaxy is a self-contained experiment in creativity. One moment you're hopping across crumbling glass domes in Flip Switch Galaxy, the next you're dodging molten meteors in Melty Molten Galaxy, or racing through a world made entirely of candy in Sweet Sweet Galaxy. Each level feels like a dream, distinct, playful, and confident. You can tell the developers poured their hearts into every planet, and when you combine that with Mario's timeless charm, those star bits, and those whimsical launch stars that fling you through space, it's joy in its purest form. Now, these aren't games you simply play, they're games you feel. And revisiting them in 2025, they still capture that same childlike wonder that most modern games can't even get close to. There's a reason both Galaxy games sit at a 97 on Metacritic, tied with Breath of the Wild, Metroid Prime, and Perfect Dark. You're literally looking at two of the top 5 highest rated games of all time on Metacritic. And that's not nostalgia, that's legacy. Let's drift into presentation, and man does this collection shine. On Switch 2, both games now run at full 4K resolution when docked and 1080p in handheld. The Switch 1 version still looks sharp at 1080p docked and 720p handheld, but you can clearly see where the upgraded hardware takes things further. Textures have been completely reworked, reflections are brighter, and the lighting gives everything to make this incredible storybook glow. When I fired it up on my 130-inch 4K gaming projector with surround sound, the results were jaw-dropping. The space vistas shimmer with new detail, and the colors absolutely pop. And that soundtrack, still untouchable. Super Mario Galaxy's fully orchestrated score remains one of the greatest soundtracks in all of gaming. It's sweeping, emotional, and genuinely moving. The brass in Gusty Garden Galaxy, the strings in Good Egg Galaxy, they hit the same way now as they did back in 2007. It's music like that that stays with you for life. Just like Hyrule Field in Ocarina of Time, aquatic ambiance in Donkey Kong Country, or nearly every track in Final Fantasy VII, the main theme of Dragon Quest, and so on. The kind of music that can instantly transport you back to who you were when you first heard it. Hearing that orchestra swell again in 4K with surround sound, that's not just nostalgia, that's rediscovery. Now, let's float into gameplay. The Galaxy games are all about variety. Each world has its own rules, its own gravity, and its own personality. You'll run upside down across tiny planets, leap between orbits using slingshot stars, and use motion to collect star bits as you go. In Galaxy 2, Yoshi joins the mix, and it changes everything. He can eat enemies, swing across gaps, and use power fruits that let you sprint up walls or float through the air. The Dash Pepper makes you feel like a rocket, while the Blimp fruit slows time as you float upward defying gravity in slow motion. Every power-up from the B-suit to the Boo suit feels intentional, and the controls, especially on the Switch 2 Pro controller, are fluid and precise. You can even use gyro aiming if you want, or play it entirely traditional. The way Mario moves, jumps, and spins still feels perfect. Tight, smooth, and playful. It's the kind of gameplay loop that feels good in your hands no matter how many years have passed. And the boss fights still hold up. Whether it's Bowser towering over you in a fiery showdown, or one of the many creative mini-bosses scattered throughout the galaxies, every encounter is memorable. Playing these games again reminded me just how dense they are. There's always another star to find, another hidden challenge, and another reason to come back. And that's the beauty of it. They never waste your time. Alright guys, time to address the Luma in the room here, and that's the $70 price tag. Here's the truth. These are two full-length masterpieces, fully remastered to run in 4K, with improved textures, new UI, bonus storybook chapters, and a soundtrack mode. You're getting both games, each with roughly 35 to 40 hours of content to 100% the game for one price. That's 70 to 80 hours of gameplay. That's about $1 per hour for two of the greatest platformers ever made. Nintendo could have released them separately at $50 each, and people would have paid it. Instead, they packaged them together for $70. Now, compare that to Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, which released earlier this year for $60 as a single game. So when you look at what you're actually getting, two top 5 all-time titles, and again, that's not my opinion, that's Metacritic, in their definitive form, running beautifully on new hardware, it's not just fair, it's actually kind of generous. Now, let's zoom out a little. We live in a world where movies get re-released all the time. I've bought Back to the Future, Rocky, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, you name it, across VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K Blu-ray, and nobody complains. Why? Because they're timeless. Because they make us happy. Just last year, Sony re-released Ghostbusters 1+2 on 4K Blu-ray for $70. Great movies, absolute classics. But for 3 hours of total entertainment, that wasn't worth it to me. I love Ghostbusters, but I didn't buy it. Now, compare that to $70 for Mario Galaxy 1+2 HD, two of the most celebrated games ever made, each offering 35 to 40 hours of gameplay. That's 70 to 80 hours of joy, challenge, and replayability. That's an experience that lives with you, something you own and can revisit for life. But here's the thing, there's no expiration date on art. There's no expiration date on greatness. And there's no statute of limitations on creativity that stands the test of time. When something is designed with love, imagination, and craftsmanship, it remains special forever, and it deserves to be experienced again. So yes, I think $70 is absolutely justified, because video games are art, they're cultural history. They deserve the same respect as films, maybe more in my opinion, because unlike a movie, they ask you to participate in the art. It doesn't matter that Super Mario Galaxy 1 is 18 years old and Galaxy 2 is 15 years old. The art direction, music, and gameplay are so strong that they still feel fresh today. We've reached a point where graphics have diminishing returns. And Nintendo predicted this a long time ago, back during the GameCube and Wii era. Yet the fun, creativity, and emotion of these older titles still outshine many modern ones. So yeah, $70, but what you're really buying is happiness. You're buying preservation. You're buying the ability to experience happiness that lasts far beyond a single playthrough. Because you're not just renting this feeling, you're owning it. When I first played Super Mario Galaxy, I was a grown man who still felt like a kid. And you know what? That hasn't changed. These games still make me smile like I'm 8 years old. I remember pre-ordering them at Best Buy, taking them home, and losing hours just exploring. That collectible coin from 2007 that still sits on my shelf is actually a tiny reminder of what these games meant to me back then. Playing them again now on the Switch 2 with modern controls, sharper visuals, and clearer sound, it feels like Nintendo found a way to bottle happiness and then hand it back to me. It's not about nostalgia, it's about appreciation. These are the kinds of experiences that remind you why you fell in love with gaming in the first place. And when you hear those opening credits, you hear that orchestra swell and launch Mario into orbit again, you realize something. Some games don't age because they were never tied to a moment in time. They were built to last. Alright guys, now it's time for my final thoughts. Super Mario Galaxy 1+2 HD isn't just a re-release, it's a love letter. A celebration of two of the greatest games ever made, beautifully preserved for a new generation. For $70, you're getting two of the top 5 highest rated games of all time, running better than ever, with music and gameplay that still define what Nintendo magic means. So yes, this collection absolutely earns my full Thunderstruck recommendation. Don't think of it as paying for a remaster, think of it as investing in happiness that never expires. And with that said, as always, remember, you're never too old to play video games.